Hello and welcome to the Price Academy, bite-sized history videos. This video is introducing Amelia Earhart, the American aviator. Amelia Earhart is the first female pilot to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. She mysteriously disappeared though while flying over the Pacific Ocean in 1937. Earhart was the 16th woman to be issued a pilot's license. She had several notable flights, including becoming the first woman to fly over the Atlantic Ocean in 1928, as well as the first person to fly over both the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. Earhart was born on July 24, 1897, in Atchison, Kansas, in America's heartland. Earhart spent most of her childhood with her maternal grandparents, exploring trees and hunting rats. Earhart's parents separated when Amelia was just 15, and she had spent the last 5 years moving from school to school. Amelia became independent based on her father's inability to be the provider for the family. Amelia volunteered as a nurse's aide for the Red Cross after seeing wounded soldiers return from the First World War. Earhart came to know many wounded pilots. She developed a strong admiration for aviators after watching the Royal Flying Corps practicing at the airfield nearby. At a Long Beach air show in 1920, Earhart took a plane ride that transformed her life. It was only 10 minutes, but when she landed, she knew she had to learn to fly. Amelia earned enough money to take flying lessons from pioneer female aviator Anita Snook. She read everything she could find on flying and cropped her hair short in the style of other women aviators. She even slept in her new leather jacket for 3 nights to give it a more worn look. In the summer of 1921, Earhart purchased a second-hand Kinner Airster biplane painted bright yellow, and she nicknamed it the Canary. In October 1922, Earhart flew her plane to 14,000 feet. This was the world altitude record for a female pilot. After this, she was issued her pilot's license in May 1923. She was only the 16th woman to be given a license. After Charles Lindbergh's solo flight from New York to Paris in May 1927, interest grew for a woman to fly across the Atlantic. In April 1928, Earhart received a phone call asking her, "Would you like to fly the Atlantic?" from a Captain Rayleigh. She travelled to New York and was selected to be the first woman on a transatlantic flight, but as a passenger, people believed it was too dangerous for a woman to conduct herself. On June 17, 1928, Earhart took off from Newfoundland in a Fokker named Friendship. The pilot was called Bill Stultz and the co-pilot was Louis Gordon. 20 hours, 40 minutes later, they touched down in Bury Point, Wales in the United Kingdom. Earhart claimed she felt she was just baggage, like a sack of potatoes. The Friendship team returned to the US and were greeted by a ticker tape parade in New York, and later they had a reception at the White House with President Calvin Coolidge. In 1931, Earhart powered a Pitcairn autogyro and set the world altitude record of 18,415 feet. During the late 1920s, she became involved with the 99s, an organisation of female pilots advancing the cause of women in aviation. She became the president in 1930. On May 20, 1932, Earhart became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic in a 15-hour voyage from Newfoundland to Cornwall in Northern Ireland. The flight was intended to go to Paris just like Lindbergh did 5 years earlier, but thick clouds and ice on the wings of the plane meant Earhart had to land in Northern Ireland. Earhart made a solo trip from Honolulu in Hawaii to Oakland, California, establishing herself as the first woman and first person to fly both across the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. On the 7th of February, Amelia married George Putnam, who had published her autobiography. Amelia attempted to circumnavigate the Earth around the equator, which ultimately resulted in her disappearance on July 2, 1937. Amelia purchased a Lockheed Electra plane and assembled a crew of 3 men, Captain Harry Manning, Fred Noonan, and Paul Mance. The plan was to take off from Oakland, California, and fly west to Hawaii. From there, the group would fly across the Pacific Ocean to Australia, cross the subcontinent of India, on to Africa, then to Florida, and back to California. However, things did not go according to plan. On March 17, 1937, the flight from Oakland to Hawaii on the first leg suffered problems. There was a tyre blow on the runway on the takeoff for the second leg, and the plane was severely damaged and needed repairs. The plane was not repaired and ready till the 1st of June 1937. Now it was just Amelia and Fred Noonan, and they left Miami, Florida, with much fanfare and publicity. The plane flew towards Central and South America, turning east for Africa. From there, the plane crossed the Indian Ocean and touched down in Lae, New Guinea, on June 29, 1937. 22,000 miles of the journey had been completed. The remaining 7,000 miles would take place over the Pacific. The plan was to head to Howland Island, 2,556 miles away. The island was situated between Hawaii and Australia. It was a flat sliver of land, 6,500 feet long and 1,600 feet wide, and no more than 20 feet above the ocean waves. This would make it hard to distinguish from similar-looking cloud shapes. Earhart and Noonan set out from Lae on July 2, 1937 at 12:30 a.m. heading east towards Howland Island. The electric crew ran into difficulty almost from the start. Witnesses to the takeoff reported that a radio antenna may have been damaged. It was overcast weather conditions, and the pair had planned to have radio communication with the US Coast Guard vessel Itasca, which was stationed off Howland Island. Unfortunately, radio communication was poor on July 2nd. Earhart and the Itasca were using different radio frequencies and differing time zones. At 7:30 a.m., Earhart reported her position 20 miles southwest of the New Kamunu Islands. At 7:42 a.m., the Itasca picked up this message from Earhart. "We must be on you, but we cannot see you. Fuel is running low. Being unable to reach you by radio, we are flying at 1,000 feet. The ship replied, but there is no indication that Earhart heard this. The flyer's last communication was at 8:43 a.m., and Amelia and Fred believed they were running along the north-south line. It seems Amelia and Fred's tank had run out of fuel, and they had to ditch at sea. Itasca realised they had lost contact and began an immediate search. President Franklin D. Roosevelt authorized a 66 aircraft and 9-ship search rescue for Amelia and Fred at a cost of $4 million. but the fate of the two flyers remains a mystery still. The official search ended on July 18, 1937, and on the 5th of January 1939, Earhart was declared legally dead. Some people believe that Earhart and Noonan landed on an uninhabited tiny island as seen on this picture some 350 miles southeast of Howland and died as castaways. Tools, bits of clothing, a piece of plexiglass and a jar of freckle cream have all been found on the island. Parts of the plane were found in 1991 and also some human bones belonging to a female were found in the 1940s. Could these have belonged to Amelia and Fred? Amelia's life and career have been celebrated for the past several decades on Amelia Earhart's birthday, which is the 24th of July. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, or follow me at Little Miss History 81 at Tanya Alex 38.